Welcome to today's video. It's a recorded fast video finishing off the picture I did the other day live. I did the eye and I'm going to finish it off in colour pencil with the rest of the painting, if you want to call it a painting. I'm using Derwent Studio colour pencils, and there's only a little bit of colour in this particular picture, as you can see from the reference on the top left, but that makes it a very effective image because it's basically black and white with a bit of yellow in it. So I'm working on the beak area. I've already done the eye in the live, so I've not got very much colour to do, and I'm using 3 pencils I think here, and I'm working on the middle tones now with the brown areas once I've got all that completed. A bit of light work there, as there's a bit of light shining on the beak and making it slightly light, and it is about building up a consistent layer of colour and steadily building it up, not really working the paper too hard. I'm not a great expert on any of this colour pencil work, so I do the odd bit now and again, but this isn't something that I do on a regular basis. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's moving forward, and I keep adding bits of tonal value to that colour to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm working in progressively darker areas, and I won't be doing a huge amount of area that's dark, as it's a very bright area of the image. So again, we're going over with that dark brown, but I'm pressing on a little bit harder now, and I'm also putting a little bit of blue in there to give some of the areas even more darkness, because if you've got a reddish brown and you put an ultramarine colour blue in it, you will get a nice dark black area. And I'm doing bits of cross hatching here. I'm now going to concentrate on some negative colouring in round the outer edge of the bird, and once you've got that outer edge, you really start seeing the image coming forward, because obviously the bald eagle is white, and that black background really shows it off quite nicely. So I'm using one of those big graphite sticks. It's a B9 or a 9B if you want to call it that, and I'm very carefully going around the outer edge so that I don't overdo it on the pencil work. And this will be the first layer of several, so we're just getting the edges all done, and once we've done that, we can do another layer. But this is a little bit tedious, this, but it does bear an awful lot of good fruit from the amount of work that you have to do for it. And I've sharpened this pencil because it was very blunt, and when you're working with a very blunt one of these pencils, it's a bit difficult to get all the detail edges that you want. So that's the first layer of that done. So I'm going to go opposite way now, and but you see how it starts to get a strong feeling of solidness when you do it the opposite way. And it really does help then, makes it believable as regards this bird is lit against a very dark area. And we're just going to finish off these little bits here, but well worth having a go with some of this graphite, because it's got some lovely textures and not expensive either. So we're now moving on to is it a tortillo or a blending stick, and something I do around the edges of the actual bird, we'll see in a little bit, is soften the edges like I've just done there, because when you look at edges of things where there's strong light and dark, you sometimes get a little bit of fuzziness, and that helps with the believability of it. So I'm encouraging that as I'm rubbing the and blending the graphite into the paper. So background done, I'm going to use that tortillo or that blending stick to create some tonal value areas. If you see in the reference image, the underside of the beak is quite dark, and I'm also getting some basic shapes of some of the feathering in there as well, because that will help in the believability of the image. Now all that is the leftover graphite that I've been rubbing onto the blending stick. So you don't really need to use the graphite stick again in that sense. But now I've got the basic shape of where I want those feathers, I'm using a mechanical pencil to put some detailed feathering in there. And you don't have to do every single detail, just give a suggestion of the individual feathers, but the fluffiness that feathers have. And I'll keep on working the dark area behind the eye, as that's quite prominently darker than the rest of that area, and will help. Doing a little bit more around the eye, and again it's just getting those fine detail bits in the actual image itself, and it's all hatching, and I'm not being overly deliberate. I'm trying to keep the strokes that I'm doing fairly loose, and I'm working various areas so I don't get sucked into doing one area at a time. And I'll move back onto the graphite stick and do some slightly darker areas, and once I've done these, I'm not that far off completion. Just to make sure that some of these feathers stand out a little bit more, because I feel it's a little bit greyed out at the moment and not enough definition. So I'm using that graphite stick again to finally do that. So there you go, that's the picture and it's finished. So that's been my colour pencil with Derwent Studio and graphite. So I hope it's been informative for you. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks and goodbye.